then that hindsight, that 2020, I was like, who does that? Like, I don't want to go to work every day and listen to people's problems. Like, this is not a good idea. This is not what I want for my life. So being that when I talked about like my coaching philosophy and talked about my background, I remember training this one woman at the gym, and she used to always talk about her husband, her marriage. And she was like, oh, I know that you're not a therapist. And I was like, well, I am a trained therapist. Marriage and family therapist is that. And she was like, oh, really? So I never really talk about what I do to the people I'm working with. I just listen to, them and their problems and things that they want to talk about. And so that was one of the experiences that I had that I really loved when I was working at the gym, was coaching couples. But when I think about that pivot, it was like, I thought about getting another social work job. I really did like the foster care and adoption social work. Greetings and welcome to the Elevated Flow podcast. I'm your host, Coach Flo, aka the Black Rowing Queen. The Elevated Flow podcast spotlights elite and everyday female athletes over 40, sharing how they elevate their game and their flow in sports, wellness, work, and life. These are powerful stories of strength, resilience, wisdom, and inspiration to help women stay active, age strong, and pass the torch to the next generation. Today, I have a special host with me. Yes, we're changing it up a little bit today. So I have a special host with me. Please help me welcome back my soror, Dr. Kathleen Sharp.
Well, hello, everyone. And it is so awesome to be back. And as she said, I am your guest host for the day. And I guess you guys are probably wonder, why do you need a guest host? Because you're here. Flo, so what's going on? So I just thought, we're always highlighting these wonderful people and that are doing all these great things and accomplishments and helping people over 40 stay fit, stay well, and inspire people and pass the torch. Well, why not interview the person who is doing that even with this podcast? So I am here as your guest host to interview the Black Rowing Queen, the Coach Flo, the Elevated Flow podcast host extraordinaire, Coach Flo Elkins.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for interviewing me, being my guest host.
Awesome. I'm excited. It's actually my honor to do this. So I'd like to tell you all a little bit about this wonderful woman that we have here to interview. You all know her as the host, but I think you might not know everything there is to know about her. So we're going to delve in to her life and get to know a little more about Coach Flo. So I'm going to give a little introduction. Y'all put your seatbelts on and get ready, because this is going to be an awesome ride. All right. So Coach Flo Elkins, a fitness and rowing coach, wellness strategist, and founder of Flo Life Fitness, Wellness, and Consulting LLC. Before she did all this, she got her psychology degree from Fisk University. I'm not going to say the HBCU, but a HBCU, because every HBCU thinks they're the HBCU. Right. She earned her master's degree in marriage and family therapy and an education specialist degree in family studies and human development from Indiana University, Bloomington. She's been to a lot of school, y'all. After graduating, she went on to work for about a decade in social work. That's some hard work right there, y'all. And from the social work, she was doing social work for foster care and adoption, and ultimately became a mommy out of that because she went on to adopt her children through her work. So that's pretty cool, y'all. But following that, so she had to do a little pivot because there were some layoffs in 2012, and she had to reinvent who is Flo, right? So what she did is she did a pivot because of the Obama era Reemployment Act. She was able to pivot and go into personal training. So then she went back to school, did her fitness certification, and launched her fitness and coaching business in 2013. And from there, it's kind of history. We're going to get a little more into other stuff that happened out of that, but you're going to have to get that as we do the interview. I'm not going to spill it all now because then you're not going to stay. So we're going to get into some more of what you did as far as your row club and who inspired you to start rowing and all that good stuff and what you're doing now with the coaching and rowing as we go through the interview. So with that, I would like to understand where it all began. So first with the psychology and social work, why did you decide psychology and social work?
Well, when I was 3 years old, I'm just joking. They say you ask Black people and they be like, okay, so we gonna go all the way back. No, I'm just joking. Anyway, right. So my mother had, what you call it? I forgot. I gave my mom allergies. Speaking of in the womb,
Oh,
many
wow.
times she had allergies when she was pregnant with me. So anyway, I digress. So I remember when I was in junior high school, people used to always come to me and talk to me about their problems. I don't know why. When you know how they say hindsight is 2020. I
Right.
just thought, I'm really good with listening and helping people and giving advice. And so I thought, "Oh, maybe I'll go to college to be a psychologist."
Okay.
So my plan originally was I went to performing arts school. So I wanted to be in entertainment.
Oh, okay.
So I was a dance and singing major when I was in junior high and high school. Went to
Okay.
Hollywood High School Performing Arts Magnet.
Okay.
And my whole thing was, oh, well, if I don't get on a TV sitcom or a movie or blow up, I'll have something to fall back on. Because when I was in high school, a lot of my substitute teachers were struggling actors or actresses. And I was like, oh, that will not be me. And after I went to college and moved back to LA, that was me. But anyway, that's what made me decide to go to school for psychology because I want to help people and help them solve their problems and cure the world type thing.
Right.
So that's why I went to school for that. And then
Okay.
when I was in graduate school, after I graduated from Fisk, I went to Indiana University, as you stated, and I went into their counselor education program. So it's similar to marriage and family therapy when I in California. So I did my internship and finished my degree from Indiana University, but I completed it in Los Angeles. So I was working in a mental health facility and everything there. And I also got my last few credits from Cal State Los Angeles, but my degree was from Indiana University. So that's what made me go into or therapy. The social work in particular, I
Yeah.
wasn't really interested in social work, but I ended up applying for a temp agency and they needed someone to I didn't even finish all my paperwork, but they were like, we just need somebody to be here at this facility. It was like a inpatient for women in
Okay.
alcohol
Okay.
alcohol abuse. And so they were like, we just need a body here to be here while these women are asleep because their staff were sick. Their staff was sick. So I did that for 2 nights. And then from there, they called me and was like, oh, we have a temp to permanent social, foster care social work. And I was like, I really kind of don't want to work yet. I just got out of school. I wanted to take a break. But they were like, we're just so thankful that you did those 2 nights. And, we really think this will be a good fit for you. And just go, talk to the supervisor and see how it is. So I ended up going to the foster care and adoption, or actually, then it was just foster care agency. And I remember the person that interviewed me, his name was Keith Terry. And I remember one of the things he said, you have a master's degree, you're a professional, we respect what you've done as far as honor and respect what you've done as far as finishing school and everything. You don't have to be married to a clock. And I was like, what? So I was there after the first week, they asked me to come on permanent. So I ended up staying there. I loved that job.
Yeah.
And every job after that just got better and better. So
That's
I know that
awesome.
was a really, really long answer, but that's how I got to
No,
how I decided on psychology and social work.
so I found a nugget in that, right?
Okay.
You said because you did the work and put the work in school and got your degrees, they weren't going to micromanage you and you could just do the job the way you felt best to do the job.
Absolutely.
That is like a
Absolutely.
nugget for these young people who feel like they don't need a degree.
Mm,
So nugget there, y'all, nugget. So you kind of glazed over something that I want to jump back into though.
okay.
The dance. What type of dance?
I did all types of dance. My dance teacher was amazing, Mr. Kenny Long, and he supports this podcast. So, hey, Mr. Long. He was my dance teacher in high school. And Lee Baker, I will give up props for her in junior high school, but dance, we did ballet, jazz, Brazilian, African,
Okay,
everything except for hip
okay,
hop. But yeah, I did tap. I was with Lula Washington Dance Company in Los Angeles, or took classes from her at her theater
okay.
company. And yeah, so all types.
Okay. And do we still dance?
You know what? I did a show in 2012, and one of my high school friends that I used to dance with came and she did a guest appearance. And this woman, Angela, that was Angela Brown from
Mm,
Oasis Church in Los Angeles, she
okay.
was a choreographer and I choreographed a piece. And then my friend Tamika Slusher, or Tamika, yes, Slusher, did a piece. And oh my goodness, I did this African dance. And African dancing can be kind of violent, I would say, like on the body, And after that, the next night, I was like, I could barely turn my neck. And I was like, okay, that was my retirement dance. So after that, I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
If
Okay.
I'm gonna feel like that, I'm good.
Done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right. That's pretty funny. So you talk about athletes and you talk about these things. I consider the arts dance definitely athletic. Were
absolutely.
you in any other sports or athletics?
Ever since I was little, I was active. So back in the day, they used to have this sports club on the campus of the University of Southern California. I
Mm,
wish that I knew which company or organization sponsored this, but I went to sports club, that's what it was called. And I have a friend that I'm still friends with for 40 years now that I met there, two friends from
mm.
sports club. But at sports club, we learned soccer, basketball, football, swimming, volleyball, like every sport. We played, well, I should say the majority of popular sports. And so, yeah, I played that. And then at one point, I don't know how I got into baseball, but I was the only girl on a baseball team at Baldwin Hills Park. I didn't play the whole season and I don't even remember why I stopped. But I did that. And then I also ran track. I ran track and I played basketball. And I said this on a previous podcast because I was like, oh, I've never been on a team, played a team sport. But I'm like, yes, I have. I played basketball in high school. I have forgotten about that. Basketball in high school. I ran track in college
Okay.
for a short stint. And so, yeah, I've always been active. And even if I wasn't on a team, I was like always worked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, what I want to we got into kind of your athletic background, but what got you into rowing?
Rowing. I was working at a big box gym in Los Angeles, and one of the clients that I was training was a rower. It was an African American woman, surprisingly, but she was really tall, and she came to the gym to work out or to train because she was having a hard time lifting the boat. And if you know anything about rowing a boat with a crew team, you have to carry the boat to the water,
Right.
whether it's off the rack to the water. In Los Angeles, we did a beach launch where we walked into the water and put the boat in the water, or a lot of places have docks where you carry it off the rack and put it in the water and then climb the boat off the dock. So because she was so tall, a lot of the weight of the boat would actually be on her shoulder. And she had really bad upper body strength. Sheila, Gibbs. I was trying to think of her name as I was talking. Sheila Gibbs. And she told me that they had a Learn the Row coming up. And that was in September of 2015.
Yeah.
And so she kept telling me, and I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Like, you don't have to, try to convince me. I said, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. So I went and I fell in love. I fell in love. And here we are
Right?
11 years later, 10 and a half years later.
Right? That is awesome. Okay.
I just love being on the water. So I was always at the beach and all of that. And I saw like the crews rowing in the marina before, but I never thought
Mhm.
like I want to do that or what
That's
is
right.
that or look into it or anything. It just happened when it was supposed to happen, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
So why not a yacht club then?
They didn't approach me.
That's
Look,
funny.
trust me, me and my friend used to be like, I need to find a man with a boat.
Right?
I need some friends with a boat. But anyway, yeah.
So you said you fell in love with it. What is it that you fell in love with? What is the experience like when you go and row on the water? I just want to hear that from you. What does it feel like for you?
So a lot of people are not morning people. And they're like, oh, I can never do that. I have a friend that's just like, oh, I get up at 12 o'clock every day. I don't mind getting up early in the morning. When
Mhm.
I first started weight training, because I did some bodybuilding and fitness
Okay.
competitions.
Okay.
And because I worked in social work, I would start work early because sometimes I would visit kids in the morning before school or daycares or whatever.
Uh,
So because of my schedule, I would go to the gym at like 4:30 in the morning.
okay.
So when they said we had to be at the water at 6 o'clock, oh, that's not that early compared to 4:30. So I was like, okay. So just being able to go to the water every single day
Mhm.
or as often as I did, because I was the type of person, if I was driving home from work and I'm on the 10 freeway going west and I see the sun going down, it would be calling me like, Flo, come to the water, watch me set. So I would just stay on the freeway and go to the water. So to be
Right.
able to go to the water, be with a team of people that are working out and getting on the water and just like, wow. I talk about this a lot where even if you try to think about all the things that were going on in your life, when you are on that water, it just takes away. It's like that Calgon, take me away type feeling.
Okay.
I know I just told my age with that, but
It's all right. I'm with you. I'm with you.
right. I get on that water and just everything is all the cares of the world just disappear.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that
It's
makes sense
amazing.
then. So tell me a little bit why it's good for someone over 40 to row. What is it? What are the health benefits of it?
If you've ever led high performers and wondered why they still burn out, disengage, or plateau, this is for you. Former athletes don't struggle at work because they lack discipline. They struggle because the coaching systems that once supported their growth are gone. I work with organizations that want more than output. They want sustainable performance, retention, and leaders who thrive. Because employee wellness, well-being, development, and feedback aren't perks, they're core priorities. If you're ready to build a coaching culture that supports the whole person in work and at life, let's talk. Click the link in the description to learn more about corporate wellness and leadership development opportunities. Now let's get back to the episode. The health benefits. Well, first, it is a non-impact or low-impact sport. Right. So it protects your joints. A lot of people come from running and other impact sports like basketball or running or anything else where you're like on your feet jumping and hopping
Right.
and all of that.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a low impact sport. It's amazing cardiovascular activity and it uses 86% of your muscles.
Yeah.
So you have some strength going on and developing strength when you're rowing as well. And then
Okay.
just the camaraderie and team aspect of it. It's an amazing experience. The community, the rowing community is very welcoming.
Mhm.
And I don't know, we're kind of a weird bunch, but we understand each other And if you want to join us, we're like, come on. But it's like, yeah, kind of weird, you know.
Okay. So I'm
Some
always
people like
imagining like,
pain and hard work and all of
yeah,
that, but it
yeah.
can be very fun and peaceful.
'Cause I'm wondering like, oh, I'm stroking wrong. I'm hitting people's oars or something. Like one arm is
When you
off, the
first
other
start,
arm's off.
when you first start, trust me, because I know sometimes we have learned the rows and people be like, "Oh, I can't wait till you join us." And I'm like, practice before I'm excited about you coming to row with us. I'm serious. It's like, no, that's why you have to do the learn to row for a couple of weeks or months before you start rowing with the more experienced rowers.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like kayaking where you can just,
Be out there.
rent a boat and go out on no, it
No.
takes a lot more skill than that.
Okay.
Not to say that kayaking is not a very skilled sport as well, but it's
Right.
not something where you can just get a rowboat. I mean, first of all, they're extremely expensive and no one's going to just let you go out on their boat and practice and
Right.
just try. Yeah. You'll
Crash
be in
it.
the water in the first getting off the dock. If you at look, I coach middle school girls, and we had one girl where which I always ask them which oar goes in first, the dock side oar. Which one comes out first, the lake side oar. Well, what did she do? She took the dock side oar out first, and then reached for the lake side oar and fell in the water. So yeah, if you don't know better, that like I said, it's not something that you could just go out there on your own and be like, I'm gonna go row today. Ain't happening. Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of segues me into your coaching philosophy. So we don't want little girls falling in the water on
I
a
mean,
regular basis.
it's one water
What?
sport, but we just do not like to get wet. It's so funny. It's like,
Yeah.
no, don't, I don't want to be wet.
Right. I just want to be on the water, but not in the
Right.
water.
Exactly.
So how have you developed your coaching philosophy? Like what your background in philosophy, psychology, your background in social work, how has that kind of developed who you are as a coach?
Good question. Because I understand human development, human psychology, I've worked with women and girls from, like I said, I'll visit kids in daycare all the way up through. Also did, well, I'll talk about that later. I did some work in a outpatient drug substance abuse program. And so just dealing with people, understanding human development, understanding group dynamics, and understanding sport and physiology has helped me in understanding how people relate to each other, that people have different learning styles. So I'm always trying to think of one, people always feeling like they belong and not ever allowing cliques and things of like things of that nature to happen on teams. Although that's kind of part of group dynamics, but I try to avoid it when possible. But the philosophy of people learning a new skill and the learning curve that comes along with that, and then taking into account where people are developmentally and then their learning style. So I'm always trying to think, and I tell my kids that I coach, like, if you don't understand something that I'm saying, I try to use the different teaching styles where I'm speaking it, the verbal, demonstrating it, the te-
Tactile?
tactile, and what's the other one? Verbal, audio, and then tactile. Yeah. So I'm always just taking that into account. And then also, like I said, understanding where people are as far as their development is concerned. So a lot of that, and then how I was coached and developed as an athlete plays a huge part in my coaching philosophy
Okay.
and the way that, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So just like a varied aspect kind of comes together and makes up Coach Flo.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So with the coaching, you talked about coaching these middle schoolers, but I also know that you do some corporate work. What does that look like?
And that's what I was getting ready to talk about. I started off one of my good high school friends, Lean Walker Coleman. I have to give everybody their props.
All right.
She was the director of a substance abuse program for over 20 years, and I had a contract with them for 10 years where
Okay.
I would go in, I would do fitness training, wellness coaching, life skills, because the women that were in the substance abuse programs, a lot of times, if you know about substance abuse,
Yeah.
they are not thinking about their wellness or focusing on their wellness. A lot of them were
Right.
mothers, so we're just educating them on nutrition, fitness, and life skills that they may have neglected when they were abusing. So
Mm.
that's where I started with corporate wellness. Like I said, I had a 10-year contract with them where I would go in. And then they would also invite me to do their staff retreats. So
Mm.
wellness, sustainable wellness practices that I would teach during their retreats. So that's
Okay.
how I work with companies, trying to help them to avoid burnout of their employees. Because if you think about it, when you are stressed, just for whatever reason, it could be things outside of the workplace, it could be the workload itself. A lot of times people experience burnout and then sometimes they have turnover problems. So I try to mitigate that as well with helping corporations incorporate wellness and think of it as a priority instead of a benefit or a um not a benefit. It is a benefit, but
Right.
ma- incorporating it into their wellness practices and their corporate,
Their culture.
what is the word? Culture. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Culture. Yes.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And with that incorporating and building cultures and stuff like that. So what do we have to look for in the future? What's going on? What is Coach Flo doing in the future? What is your wellness coaching look like in the future? What is your rowing looking like in the future? Where are we going with all this?
Where are we going? Well, currently, what I'm doing is I am, like I said, coaching middle school girls on the water in Dallas. I also am partners with another rowing club where we have a contract with Dallas Independent School District where we go into the PE classes and teach indoor rowing with the hopes of them wanting to row on the water. So transition from indoor rowing to on the water rowing. And so I just really help develop those athletes, especially in the one, excuse me, with Dallas United Crew, develop those athletes so that they can be prepared to transition to the high school team, which is more competitive. In middle school, they don't really compete. Just kind of exploring different sports and where they want to go, but
Oh,
just one of the things that I really in with the contract that I have is, and I also lead the Row Dallas with Dallas United Crew. So the contract that I have is with Bachman Rowing Club.
okay.
And it is a grant that we run from one with the Pocock Rowing Foundation out of Seattle, Washington, and Concept 2 in Vermont, Crasbury, Vermont, Washington. And so going into these schools, it's important that children are exposed to different sports. And being that rowing in particular is not a sport that is typically made aware, children are not aware of it in certain disenfranchised communities.
Okay.
So we go into these communities, introducing them to the sport, helping them understand the opportunities that could come with them being involved with the sport, like getting a scholarship to college,
Right.
especially for girls. I
Mhm.
know a lot of this stuff is in jeopardy because of the administration that we have in office right now, but Title IX was put in place so that women and girls could participate in sports. And so, because of Title IX, there are a lot more scholarships available to girls to go to college to offset the number of scholarships that are available to boys to play football and other sports. So,
Right.
in going into these disenfranchised communities, I am introducing the sport of rowing to more black and brown boys and girls in hopes that they would love it enough to come and row on the water and possibly become good enough to get recruited and go to college. So that is the goal, is to continue to
Okay.
expose and introduce Black and brown boys and girls to the sport of rowing and just
Right.
expand that program. So I started in California, and just with one contract that I was able to secure, introduced over 1,500 students.
Wow.
And that one year, last year, with the contract with Dallas Independent School District, we introduced 1,800 students.
Okay.
And that was from 6 schools. And this year we have the contract. We are going to 13 schools.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, we're getting up there and just continuing to
That is
develop
awesome.
that program. Yeah.
Well, that's an exciting look ahead, I tell you.
Yes.
So I kind of want to talk about this title of yours,
Okay.
the Black Queen of Rowing. Is that the title?
Oh,
Or the Black Rowing Queen? Is
the
it the
Black
Black Rowing?
Rowing Queen.
How'd you, the Black Rowing Queen. Say that
Black
fast
Rowing
6 times.
Queen.
How did you get that title?
You know, it's so funny because I have had so many people that have been on the podcast. They've had people give them names that I'm like, so you've embraced that title, huh? And that particular title, people in Los Angeles kept saying that to me. Just different people, different friends. Like, oh, you're the only person I know that rows. You're the Black Rowing Queen, you know?
Right.
Like, okay. And at first I was kind of like, maybe not, because I know other people, Black women that row and have won titles and awards and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, but you know what? And then my life coach told me, embrace it.
Right.
That's who you are. You're the
Right.
Black Rowing Queen. So
Right.
ever since Renice Gillespie told me, embrace it. So I was like,
Embrace it.
okay, I'm the Black Rowing Queen. Right. Put on that crown, girl. Put it on.
That is awesome.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So now that we've embraced it, talk to me about when you were feeling that royalty. What flow state? What elevated flow of royalty state? When is that? What does that look like for you?
Elevated flow state. I love being around people. Okay, so I'm a correct myself. I am an ambivert. Some people think I'm an extrovert. People that really know me know that I'm more of an ambivert, which is an extroverted introvert. I love being around people, but then I like to retreat. Okay.
Right.
So there's an organization that I am a part of called Black Women Who,
Yeah.
and they do outdoor activities. And I've had the founder and one of the administrators of the Dallas Fort Worth chapter on the podcast before.
Okay.
So being out in nature and being with other Black women, because like with rowing, I wasn't around a lot of Black people. So to actually find an organization that are that has people that look like me in nature doing water sports and all that kind of stuff. Oh my goodness, that is elevated my flow. So I
Okay.
already talked about being on the water. That's when I feel like I'm in my flow state. I'm not thinking about the cares of the world or anything else. And I'm just like enjoying the breeze and looking at nature and listening to the water and all of that. That is when I'm in my flow state. But then being out in nature, I love the water just as much as I do the mountains. So
Okay.
going hiking and just being active,
Okay.
definitely in my flow state. It's funny, when people ask me what I like to do for fun, I hadn't realized that everything I really like to do involves exercise. In my mind, I'm just like, oh, this is fun. Want to do this? And then they're like, that's exercise. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. I just see it as fun. So I went out hanging with one of my friends one time and I was like, oh, I have had this Groupon. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. Had this Groupon to do a hydro bike on the water in Long Beach. And I was like, oh, that sounds so fun. And I had the Groupon and I was like, oh, I didn't know about anybody that would want to go with me. So I went with one of my friends and I rode that morning. And then we get on the bike and I was like, dang. And he was like, oh, I thought you did this so you could see if I could keep up. And I was like, I didn't even think about this as exercise. I was like, damn, I shouldn't have rode this morning. My legs hurt. So yeah, I mean, when I am doing activity and being around Black folks and, you know, I like to just be around people, but I'm just saying to actually find an organization where there's Black women that
Do all
are
that.
out in nature. I love that. Yeah.
I call it an introvert with extrovert tendencies.
Right. Right. Because after a while, I'm like, okay, I don't mind being by myself and just like, okay, I need to retreat, recoup, and then I can, you know, yeah.
That is awesome. She said, it's just movement. I thought I was just going to have some fun.
Right. Even my last partner, he was like, all that stuff that you want to do, I don't want to do any of that. I work hard at work. I have a very laborious job. And you want to go rock climbing, you want to do all that stuff. He was like, none of that sounds fun to me. I was like, wow. Okay, well, I guess I got to find something else for us to do. I don't
Yeah.
like the movies because I don't like to waste daylight in the dark.
Right.
And then I
Yeah.
don't like to go to the movies anyway.
Go to the drive-in.
Yeah, if they had one.
There's one in Fort Worth and one in Ennis.
Really? I'm
Yep.
glad to know that. I'll
Yep.
have to check it out.
Exactly. One in Fort Worth is called Cowboy, I think. I don't remember the name of the one in Ennis.
Okay.
Yep.
Now they just have to have some good movies that are worth going to see.
Yeah, I
That's
guess.
the other part.
Yeah. But it is an adventure. They have a full kitchen there and get food and you can walk around and sit and do stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
So as you all have seen, Flo is phenomenal, right? So you've been interviewing all these people and talking about, how they impact people, and I mean, you're touching school age people in their 40s who are trying to find something new to do to stay in shape. How do you get the next generation to come up and continue what you're doing? How are you going to pass that torch on? What does that look like?
I like the way you segmented into passing the torch. That's a very interesting question because today I was thinking about the fact that Women and Girls Day, what is it? Women and Girls Day of Sports in Sports is on February 4th. And I'm a part of this organization called BRAID, Black Rowers Amplifying Inclusion and Diversity. And they asked us to submit a picture of us from then and now. So I was looking for my old basketball picture, and then I was going to put my rowing picture. These are young women that are mostly college age, and I am going to talk to them about doing a video for me to encourage the girls that I coach in the schools.
Okay.
Because for some reason, I know that people are able to relate a lot of times, better relate to people that are closer to them in age. So for me, I always had women in my life that were older that kind of took me under their wing. And then I always had girls that I was mentoring. And so now these women are like right under me as far as age is concerned. And so what I want to do is to help and then have them help the smaller or the next generation behind them, which they are already doing. But that is a way that I want to help the next generation, is to continue to be involved with them, but also help them in their mission, especially in the area of rowing, to help the next generation. So I like the intergenerational concept. So you talked about what's next too. That is something that I am working on, an intergenerational retreat conference. Yes.
Okay. For rowers, that is awesome.
Not just for rowers.
Oh, just in general.
Not just, yes. Yes.
Okay. So I know we kind of came to passing the torch, but there was one topic that kind of sparked me and I think will be helpful for some people. In that time where you were laid off and you had to figure out, because at this time you had your children, right?
Mhm.
You'd already adopted your children.
Well, my
And
children, I have to add this, they were teenagers.
that's rough though. Teenagers are rough.
One of them didn't live with me and the other one did, but yes, it
Okay.
was rough. It
Yeah,
was.
teenagers are rough. But my question is what in you gave you the strength and the
Mm.
resilience to say, I've been doing social work for all this time. I got laid off. Now I'm just gonna go do something totally different. Where in your mind did you feel like that was okay instead of just going to get another social work
Right.
job?
Well, I kind of alluded to this earlier when I said the reason that I went into therapy and counseling was because I thought that I wanted to help people. And then that hindsight, that 2020, I was like, who does that? Like, I don't want to go to work every day and listen to people's problems. Like, this is not a good idea. This is not what I want for my life. So, being that when I talked about like my coaching philosophy and talked about my background, I remember training this one woman at the gym and she used to always talk about her husband, her marriage. And she was like, "Oh, I know that you're not a therapist." And I was like, "Well, I am a trained therapist, marriage and family therapist is that." And she was like, "Oh, really?" So I never really talk about what I do to the people I'm working with. I just listen to, them and their problems and
Right.
things that they want to talk about. And so that was one of the experiences that I had that I really loved when I was working at the gym was coaching couples. But when I think about that pivot, it was like I thought about getting another social work job. I really did like the foster care and adoption social work because I used to say that if I lost my job because we were taking better care of our children and children were actually getting adopted into new homes or
Yeah.
into homes, forever homes, then I would be fine with that. I would say, I don't know if we're necessarily taking better care of our children, but a lot of the children that were on my caseload were getting adopted.
Mm,
And so the organization that I was working with at the time could not justify having as many social workers as they did because a lot of the kids were getting adopted. So that's why
right.
I got laid off. And speaking of which, when my supervisor had to tell me that she was laying me off, she was the one crying and I was consoling her. I'm not going to talk about what I think that might be, but anyway, I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So I talked about that first job that I had, and every job after was always better. And I just
Mm,
said, I had that in my mind that whatever was next was going to be better.
okay.
And I had just gotten to the point where I was like, I don't know if I want to go work for anybody else in that capacity. Now,
Okay.
I will say it took several years for me to get past the fact that I went to school for these degrees and I'm not using them. And even
Right.
my dad asked me one time, "So you're not going back to social work?" And I was like, "Well, not in that capacity." But I will say, because of that background, it has helped me in every other area of my life when it comes to personal training and coaching. And like
Mm,
I said, understanding human development, understanding how people change, the theories of change and things of that nature. Even when I was in fitness school, I was like, wow, I felt like I was back in graduate school. Excuse me. Excuse me. So when I went to fitness school, it was something that I gotten interested in. It piqued my
mhm.
interest because I had worked with a trainer and I got some great results. And I'm one of
Right.
those people that was like, oh, well, what is that for? And why are we doing this exercise? And what muscle is that? So I was like, okay. When they asked me what I wanted to do, I looked up on the computer. I thought about
Mm.
real estate. I thought about something else. They were like, get a certification in Microsoft or something like that. I'm
All
like,
right.
no. But then the other thing is that when I looked up like therapy and social work positions, they were all asking for bilingual Spanish speaking.
Yeah.
So it was
Okay.
like, well,
Yeah,
let me do
not
something
today.
different. I really love this working out thing and training
Mhm.
people. And, some of my friends and family started asking me to train them. And
Okay.
so then I was like, okay, I think I could do this. I know I could do this. And I did it. And I
Yes, you
did get
did.
fired from that big box gym as well. And I was like, okay.
Let me find something else to do.
I got some clients that people want to work with me already. So deuces.
Right. Exactly. You know what? We have learned so much about you in this time. But let the audience know that there's more. And if you want to hear more about Coach Flo's responses to these little deeper and more intimate questions, you have to join us in the afterflow over in the Patreon community. You can click the link in the description for that. So if you want to hear some deeper stuff that we're going to get into a little bit later, then you'll have to join the Patreon community. Click the link in the description for that. So unfortunately, as much fun as I'm having, that is it for this episode of Elevated Flow Podcast. Until next time, this is Dr. Sharp and Coach Flo signing off. Remember to find your zone and elevate your flow. Peace.
Hey.
1, 2.